It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
Can't wait for Judd's random baseball take of the show here. So a lot of possibilities.
Yes, there are.
A lot of possibilities.
Yes, there are.
Twins are on the grid a couple days ago, so we'll do a Twins on the grid. But let's just hit you guys with a little short episode here with an interesting question that Patrick Royce, our friend from Royce Unchained, wrote about in the Star Tribune a few days ago. So we'll hit you with this question, Judd's random baseball take, and an Immacuate Grid, and you can be on your way, Twins fans. So Royce wrote about what he talked about last week on Unchained. He said the Twins should rebuild, and he fleshed it out in the newspaper. I don't know, Judd, you may have read it in the old school paper copy a few days ago.
I did actually, yeah. Yeah,
No.
It was Saturday morning, I believe, yeah.
He referenced the early part of the Target Field era where the Twins came in, they were really good, they had a nucleus, and then it all just kind of exploded in 2011, and it didn't get better in 2012, and the Twins, with attendance dwindling and people pissed or apathetic or somewhere in between, the Twins said, okay, we gotta spend some money. We're not going to be good, but we need to spend some money in free agency to make it look like we're trying, or maybe it's us trying. So they went and signed Ricky Nolasco and a couple other guys, 4-year contract for Ricky Nolasco, and he was terrible. So Pat put out the notion that the Twins should not repeat the mistake they made 10 years ago by just like making a bad signing or two in free agency to try and get fans back in. It's like too far gone for that to even matter. Mm-hmm. So no Ricky Nolasco's this time around. He says the Twins should rebuild. Do you agree or disagree? No one's talking about this except for Pat, I feel like. Yeah. So let's entertain this premise. Should they rebuild and go against the grain of what people are clamoring for?
I don't think they need to. I think they've got some very nice pieces here. Rebuild to me is I guess just in my head an overly negative connotation about where things stand. Should they use the young kids that they have, the pitchers who got experience? Absolutely. Would I be adverse to them making a couple of wise, savvy signings, a veteran starter perhaps to help out, bullpen help, which they need? I mean, the back end of the bullpen is good. The front end needs some help. But like rebuild to me is like you're almost taking a breath and saying, all right, we got to start again. I don't know that they do. I mean, Brooks Lee, Royce Lewis, you've got some, with the way that they've been accelerating prospect development, Walker Jenkins within a couple of years, right? So I guess if he's saying, should they not go out and sign a Nolasco for the sake of the signing? I agree completely. Do I see that as a rebuild? No, I saw the Nolasco thing as trying to, Terry was told, go spend. Terry didn't really like to spend, and he just went out and bought the first car on the lot that he saw. But I don't think this is blow it up, rebuild. I think you're actually in a decent spot if you just run this thing wisely.
So rebuilding in baseball is also a very dangerous game. I think if you are going to look at a team that you could, again, replicate, or maybe do you want to look at what other teams have done in this? Let's look at Baltimore. So the Orioles, who are, by the way, right now, like on a 10-game postseason losing streak, that's a different story. But in 2012, they go to the ALDS to take a 5-game series. They go to the ALCS in 2014. They lose a wild card game in 2016, and then they hit the skids. They were in bottom of the AL East. They lost 100 games, 3 and 4 years. But because of that, they drafted great players. They drafted Gunnar Henderson. They drafted Adley Rutschman. They've look at all of their core pieces right now, and they're all first, second-round picks from them being really bad. And they also made a savvy trade, getting Corbin Burns. They also have a brand-new ownership group that will see what they can do with, and maybe they pump extra money into that team that can't get over the hump and get into a playoff run. But I don't think the Twins are in a position where they're about to hit the full nuke button. The roster is still too good, even with Correa and Buxton maybe missing time with some injuries here and there. The top of the rotation, in my opinion, is still also really good. Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober is not 2002 Oakland Athletics, but it's about as good as it gets in a 1-2-3, at least in depth-wise. So I think it's still too good of a team to nuke this, but they are in an interesting position. If they can't add to this roster and push it over the hump, then really what are we doing here?
See, that's the tough crossroads is ordinarily you, like last year, okay, we've got this thing that is really good and made the playoffs and won a playoff series, and we just need to push it to the next level, and the franchise made the decision to not push it to the next level. In fact, they took pieces away from it. And so I think if the decision is between let more pieces, basically like let some of these veteran pieces, maybe even some arbitrary, like Willie Castros, these pieces that are going to be bloating your payroll. If rebuild means get rid of some of those guys and call up Emmanuel Rodriguez a little earlier than you otherwise would have, I'm fine. Let's take rebuild out of it. Leaning into the number 2 farm system in baseball, if guys are ready, I'm not opposed to that. Now, is that going to instantly put butts in the seats? Because a youth movement, these are negative buzz phrases in baseball, right? Like youth movement, bad. Rebuild, definitely bad. Stripping down of payroll, terrible, no. But if they've made the decision to right-size their business and not pour another $30 or $50 million into it, like if they decided we're going to actually pour $30 to $50 million into this thing, I'd say, cool, let's go circle some players via trade and free agency that you could go add salary and let's make a run. But if they're not going to do that, then yeah, I clear the runway for some younger players to contribute. I don't think you're going to, in terms of rebuilding, part of that formula is trading established players for assets, right? I don't know that Carlos Correa to me is more valuable on the team than trading him for like 25 cents on the dollar and his $36 million contract with bad x-rays and MRIs. Like you're not going to get anything for him. Mm-hmm. And the dangerous medicals. Buxton, teams are going to be like, we like Buxton, but we can't rely on him for more than 60 or 70 games. If he gives us 100, it's a huge bonus. So
right.
I don't even know how many assets you have. Like you could trade Pablo Lopez and get something awesome. You could trade Royce Lewis if you would consider that as part of your rebuild. But
here's my question: to go back to last winter when Joe Pohlad broached the whole payroll conversation, and he mentioned that we would like to follow teams like the Rays. So, okay, are you really going to do that? Because then you're trading away young players who are coming up on arbitration to not like. I guess I have a lot of questions about the Twins' intentions now, and they become greater. And I don't know, like, is your intention to keep Royce, to keep Brooks Lee long term? Because I think Phil, to your point, yes, if you lean into a farm system that's been built up pretty well now, and you cultivate those guys, to me, that's absolutely fine. But if you're going to now say, okay, Royce Lewis arbitration, we can't pay that. We can't. So like, there's Joe Pohlad has created so much confusion as to what their intentions are. And I really don't know.
And there's 2 main ways to deploy your, let's call it top 5 farm system, depending on what publication you look at.
Sure.
There's 2 main ways. You could either let those guys come up when they're ready and plug them in, and they don't make a lot of money, but you might strike gold like they did in the early 2000s, just have a bunch of dudes who make no money coming up at the same time, and now you got a nucleus for the next 8 to 10 years, right?
Yes.
Hard to replicate that because all of them have to be hits. But the other way to leverage a top 5 farm system is to not be afraid to treat them as poker chips that you're trading for established players that make more money.
Right.
I would like to see that more often with this team. But obviously they're not really in a position to make a trade for a guy that makes $20 or $30 million or something, or is due to hit free agency and would need a contract extension.
Right.
So, if it means Emmanuel Rodriguez is going to play, all right, I'm in on that. But if it means trading away Pablo Lopez and trading away Joe Ryan, I'm kind of with Dex. You got to be really careful about potentially entering even more darkness. Because if it doesn't go well and you find out that some of these guys on paper who are ranked as high prospects are really not ready to contribute at a big league level, or maybe they're just busts. I mean, you can't just flip the switch and do what they did in the early 2000s and have it work. You could enter a really dark period if you're not careful about it.
I think you could get fans a little bit excited if they were able to watch, the operative word being watch, a good young team. I think if you do what you just said, though, and say, okay, you know what? We're also going to start to peel away the established parts because we're cheap.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a bigger PR disaster. And that is saying something for a team that's coming off a season which was a PR disaster. So
Yeah, they have nice pieces. They have, and also like their sophomore players that struggled this year, the Kirilloffs, the Eddie Julians. Like, how patient do you want to be with those guys? Obviously, Jose Miranda popped up, but then he didn't hit a home run for 3 months. So there's some middling players here of which ones do you want to commit with and which ones are part of your long-term plans. And if that means you do have to sell lower on an Edward Julian than you did a year ago because you thought you had your next leadoff hitter for the next 5 years, you got to make those decisions too. But their farm system has set themselves up where they can pluck some guys either to the big league roster that can contribute right away, or do they want to use it as capital to get veteran pieces to help push this team over the top?
Yeah. I would ask the audience, let us know in the YouTube comments section, do you think the Twins should rebuild? But I think I know what the answer is.
And do you care?
Do you still care about the Twins?
Do you have any interest in if the Twins blow it up, rebuild, or move?
But I guess if you're listening to the SKOR North Twins Show in the offseason, then you are a diehard and you are committed, and we appreciate you.
Exactly right. And we care.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why this show is going to continue likely multiple days a week throughout the entire offseason. Before we get to the Twins on the grid here, Judd, give us your random baseball take of the show.
I gotta go to Cleveland, Ohio, Jacobs Field yesterday. What a marvelous display of baseball. What a great game. Tarek Skubal, unbelievable, phenomenal. The defensive efforts, the double plays that the Tigers, I think, got Skubal out of not one but 2 innings. I think in one case, at least, a guy was on third base. A controversial Stephen Kwan catch in left, which was called a catch. I think the ball was actually hit the ground partially. But I mean, you want a nice crisp fall day and a baseball game where, again, you're on the edge of your seat for every pitch. That's what baseball is all about.
Who are you guys actively rooting for to win the World Series right now?
I like the Padres. I feel like the Padres.
I think it's Padres and Tigers for me right now.
Well,
rematch of the 84 World Series, potentially.
Well, yeah, that's just, the Padres have been, I'd love to see the Padres pay off the aggressive nature of their organization.
Right.
They're just balls to the wall the last 5 years for the most part, trying to build this thing, and fans have reciprocated. And the Tigers have just completely come out of nowhere a year ahead of schedule. Second half of the season, AJ Hinch. I know he's got a background there with the Astros.
Well, and Skubal in particular, though. I mean, just
he's fun,
marvelous.
Yeah,
just shoves. Ridiculous.
Yeah. He's great. Love him.
So that's my baseball thought.
There's Judd's random baseball take of the show. All right, boys, let's pop this on the screen here. Twins on the Grid, the Immacuate Grid Challenge. For the visual audience, you will see 9 squares on the screen. For the audio audience, you will be guided through this with our guesses of obscure players. So we're looking to get ideally the lowest rarity score we can by putting obscure players in these boxes. A Twin who was a Tiger, a Twin who was a Brave, and a Twin who played left field at least once. A Tiger who stole 30 bases in a season. A Tiger who played right field at least once. A Brave who stole 30 bases in a season. And a Brave who played right field at least once. And then we're looking for someone who played left field and right field at least once each in a game, and left field and stole 30 bases in a season. So let's start with that Twins column here.
So the Twins column or the Tigers, if you move to the right, played right field. I believe Cleat Thomas qualifies for both.
Ooh.
Oh, Cleat Thomas.
Good old
but
Meat
take-
Thomas.
But take your pick, because we probably have more Twins who were Tigers. So Cleat Thomas could be.
Why don't we
The right
use?
fielder.
Well, Cleat Thomas was like a utility outfielder,
Yep.
so we could. You want to go obscure? Cleat Thomas as a Detroit Tigers right field option.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Or if you really want to go obscure, go Cleat Thomas left field, right field. But we could find any other player too.
True.
We used Todd Jones the other day, right?
Yeah.
I think you
On a
threw
random
that one
twin.
out, Dex.
A red. Was it the red? I mean, there's a lot. Casey Fiend
Yep.
Casey
came from the
Fiend.
Tigers.
Yeah, we've
Chris
used him
Patero.
too.
Chris Patero.
1980s second base phenom who Sparky loved and then end up as a
Jonathan
twin.
Scope.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Scope, yeah.
Good power hitter. Lester Oliveros.
Mm-hmm.
Was a relief pitcher in the early Target Field days.
Mm-hmm.
Delman Young.
Did
Craig Monroe.
Did Mike Pelfrey finish with the Tigers after the Twins?
He might have.
I think he did.
Did Rusty
think he
Kuntz
did.
play for the Tigers? He played for the Twins.
Rusty
Longtime
Kuntz.
first base coach of the Kansas City Royals.
Willie
with the-
Castro.
Willie Castro.
Yeah, that's probably
Bill
top of mind.
Castro. Matt Walbeck.
Matt Walbeck. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones here.
Um,
Gotta fire someone.
how about Casey Fiend?
Yeah.
Case
Slappy.
Fiend?
Slappy. Good one.
Slappy reliever.
Yep. Those guys are always money.
.07.
And he's in a Phillies.
Let's unload Cleat Thomas in the Tiger right field bin.
Okay.
It's an easy one.
The death stare of Cleat Thomas. That
Never
guy
blinked.
Never blinked and would stare at you.
.1. Yeah, look at
Point
those
one.
Look at that.
terrifying eyes.
Yeah, he had the big eyes.
Okay, a twin who was a Brave. A Bravo.
Bravo.
Oh, that pitcher who they got in the Rule 5 draft who was
Scott Diamond.
was fat
No.
and got skinny.
J.R. Graham.
JR, oh, that's good,
J.R.
Jax.
Graham, dude.
J.R.
Jax,
Graham.
that's a money
Yes.
pull by you. remember
J.R.
his name.
Graham. High
Well,
socks.
There were a lot
Stirrups.
of questions. There were a lot of questions about how he came into camp in great shape after being sort of heavy. I remember
Just
that.
jacked.
Dude,
He never played for the Braves. That's why. He never
Oh my
played for the
God.
Braves. That's
Oh
why
my
he's. That's
God.
why he's a Rule 5.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I thought they took him back. Oh my god. Oh, this is all my fault.
We didn't put up any resistance. Though.
we didn't put any resistance
Oh.
either. This
The
wasn't-
reason why he was available in the Rule
Yeah, I
5
thought he
is
went-
because
I thought
he
he got-
never.
I thought he
I
went-
drove the car,
Oh,
and
damn
I
it.
did not even say, "Are you sure that's the exit?" I
Damn
just
it.
said, "Go for it."
Well,
And
I brought it up,
Damn
so
it.
I'm faulting myself.
Well, here's another
Son
one.
of a.
Chuck
Irvin
James. If
Santana.
you're looking for an obscure Chuck James.
Oh, this is. I'm just.
Damn. So we can't be immaculate today.
Yeah, you know,
0.07.
stupid.
Well, let's
Yeah.
let's see how far we can go.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just upset with myself right now.
Yeah.
A twin who played left field in a game. Any?
Brian Dinkelman. Like,
Yeah.
was Dink
Yeah.
a left fielder?
He was a left fielder and a second baseman.
The Dink.
Let's do
Brian
it.
Dinkelman.
The Dankster. He didn't play. He only played like a month.
It doesn't matter if we're wrong now
The Dink.
as much.
Dinkelman.
0.02.
0.02. Let's finish strong. We can finish strong here. A left. How about a left?
He doesn't have a picture.
Let's get on the board here. A left and a right. Someone who played left and right field at least once in their career.
All right, for the Twins, Trevor Larnach.
Larnach. Yep.
The options here are
It's. I mean, there's
Endless.
hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah, corner outfielders.
Delman Young, Trevor Larnach. Let's do Trevor. I'm
left.
cool with Trevor Larnach.
I don't. Yeah, left. Yeah.
How many people are going to guess Trevor Larnach here? We're about to find out. Jason Kubel.
0.2.
That seems high. Doesn't that seem high?
Well, I mean, I'm sure
Twins
it's all
fans?
Twins fans, and we can. Can you like do the math? You take whatever the options are, right, and multiply it by 0.2, and you'll get the number of
Played
people.
right field for the Braves, the Bravos.
Who's a former Twin? Jordan Schaefer? Did Jordan
Rosario?
play right?
Yes, Jordan Schaefer. Deion Sanders played all the
Rosario?
outfield. Jordan
Played
Schaefer
oh,
was a
Rosario.
utility outfielder for sure for several years.
Okay.
Let's do it. It's a great one. Didn't the Twins have two Schaefers? Jordan Schaefer, and then there was another Schaefer.
0.2.
Oh man, we're killing this, man. This sucks.
I know. That's why I'm.
It's on all of us. It's on all of
I'm
us.
so disappointed.
A 30 stolen base left fielder, Ben Revere.
Yeah.
Benny Revere would work.
Chuck Knobloch.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Chuck. Forgot he moved to left. That's right. That's right. It doesn't have to happen the same year.
Yeah, 'cause he
Now
couldn't
this
throw.
is a championship game. Now
couldn't
quit
throw.
this.
If he just hadn't had that damn throwing disease, he wouldn't have been in left field at the Metrodome, and they couldn't have pelted him with hot dogs.
Who's gonna be lower here, Ben Revere or Chuck Knobloch?
Ugh. Knobloch played for the Yankees, so, and my guess is
Let's go Revere.
more
Let's go
Yankees
Revere.
fans. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben played for the Phillies, but I don't think anyone remembers him.
Revere, 0.3.
Yes. And we only
Right,
get
so-
one crack at these last two, so we're looking for either a Tiger who stole 30 bases or a Brave who stole 30 bases.
So my fantasy base, because I loved these guys.
Tiger.
Rajay Davis, I believe, would work for the Tigers. Michael
I
Bourne
think-
would probably be high for the Braves.
I think Rajai Davis may have stolen 30 for like 3 different teams.
Yeah, loved Rajay
Good
Davis.
player.
Very good player.
Otis Nixon would work for the Braves.
Yeah, I think Michael Bourne might be too high.
Rafael Furcal.
Ron LaFleur for the Tigers from the 70s,
Oh.
a guy who was
Ron
in jail. Who
That
was
sounds like a guy with a mustache.
It
He
does
did-
sound
yes!
like a great mustache.
He had a great stash.
Ron LaFleur
Ron
from
LaFleur,
the
yeah,
70s.
Facial
He was
LaFleur.
incarcerated, got out, went to a tryout, and made the Tigers.
Ty Cobb.
Yeah, that's
Cobb,
good.
he guessed a lot. Rajai Davis is pretty recent.
Granderson?
Randy wasn't. He's more of a power guy, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, but he had some more speed in his game pre-Yankees. And he was a leadoff hitter. I mean, I don't know. I feel like...
Did Sweet Lou run?
Lou, what?
Whitaker.
Oh, Lou Whitaker. Okay.
But he might be popular. He's a really good player.
Alan Trammell?
Yeah, those two are really popular. I think Rajai Davis would be
Rajai
lower
Davis?
than Trammell.
Rajai Davis is a sneaky one. It's just the recency is.
Well, but I mean, we
Let's go.
can't
I mean, it
fill
doesn't
out-
really matter
We
at
can't
this
fill
point.
out the square anymore now. So,
Let's see what we got here. Oh man.
6.
So Davis was a 6.
Oh,
But so we had a 1. They give you 100 for the. There's only. Wow, the Tigers have been around since the
yeah, click
turn
that
of the
and see who's on there.
1900s. Only
I
23.
think LaFleur stole
Wow.
50 something in the 70s.
So Rajai was the last guy to do it in 2014. Before that, Alex Sanchez. I remember him in 2003.
Whoa.
Roger can is this
Not good.
I don't know what it is.
Steal his space.
Juan Encarnacion stole
Oh, okay.
33 for them in 99. Brian Hunter in the 90s a few times. Kirk Gibson in the 80s. But yeah, since 2000.
Did Alan
only
Trammell
3
or Lou
guys.
Whitaker ever do it?
Alan Trammell did. In 1983, he had exactly 30.
Wow.
So Lou Whitaker never did.
He didn't do it, huh?
I don't see a Lou Whitaker on here.
Well, that was
All right.
a noble effort by us
J.R.
here.
Graham. Son
I'm sorry.
of
I should have,
a-
Judd. I also should have.
No,
No,
questioned it a little bit.
I didn't put up a roadblock either. It was, but
Irvin
yeah, the
Santana.
Rule 5 draft, you are drafting a minor leaguer
Right.
to your
Right.
to your.
I
20
thought they reclaimed him. That's what I thought, but I might be
Right.
totally wrong about that.
Yeah.
That's
and
my-
Scott Diamond, but then they worked out a deal. He never actually played for the Braves. He was a Braves
Oh,
prospect. So, anyhow, this is the SKOR North Twins Show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, getting us to 4,000 YouTube subscribers. We got your off-season hot stove content starting early here in October.